Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me.
Cecilie takker os for inviteringen.
So I will talk about a strategy for Varroa summer control in Italy.
Så Cecilie vil snakke om strategier for sommerkontrol af varroa i Italien.
So in Italy we have a need to control the Varroa population in the summer.
I Italien har de brug for at kunne bekæmpe varroa om sommeren også.
This is because the brood rearing season is longer, it starts earlier and it ends later compared to Denmark.
Det skyldes, at ynglesæsonen er længere end i Danmark. Den starter tidligere, og den slutter senere.
So the amount of brood in the year that a colony produces is higher in southern Europe. And we saw this in a Europe-wide experiment. We measured over the season the amount of brood, and this just shows that with the higher temperatures, then the amount of brood was higher in the south.
Så det var noget som, at at man fik den her større mængde yngel, det så man i det europæiske undersøgelse, hvor man undersøgte, hvor meget yngel blev der produceret i Sydeuropa i forhold til Nordeuropa.
So in the past 10 years, one of the most common strategies that beekeepers were using in the summer was thymal-based products.
Så i de sidste 10-20 år, at de produkter, der mest har været brugt af biavlerne, det har været baseret på thymol.
These are two registered projects normally used, Apilife Var by Chemicals Life and Apigard.
Og det er de to mest almindelige produkter, der bliver brugt, Apilife Var og Apigard.
And these required repeated treatments over 1 month in the summer.
Det kræver, at man behandler gentagne gange over 1 måned hen over sommeren.
But what happened that for a while this was working and then it stopped working and there were high winter losses.
Men i et stykke tid virkede det, men så lige pludselig holdt det op med at virke, og man fandt meget høje vintertab.
Here are just some data of losses, colony losses in Italy over the past years.
Det er nogle tal for vintertab i Italien over de seneste år.
So as you know, it's difficult to obtain this data, but so this is from some surveys over the past years, and you can see actually it has been decreasing. This could also, surely is also due to the fact that in Italy since 2008 there was suspension of use of neonicotinoids.
Så som man kan se, så har de været faldende over de senere år, og en mulig årsag til det kunne være, at man er holdt op med, at man ikke må bruge neonicotinoider i Italien.
But everybody agrees that Varroa also plays an important role.
Men alle er enige om, at varroa også bestemt har en betydning for det.
So there was a need for a new strategy to control Varroa.
Ja, der er behov for en ny strategi mod varroa.
So one principle on which this new strategy is based is that if you interrupt the brood production, also Varroa reproduction is interrupted.
Så et af de principper, som den nye strategi er baseret på, er, at hvis man afbryder yngelproduktionen, så betyder det også, at opformeringen af varroa bliver afbrudt.
The other principle behind the strategy is that oxalic acid is known to have a high efficacy, but the high efficacy is only on the ferretic mites.
Ja, så et andet princip er, at man ved, at oxalsyre har en god effekt på varroamider, men det er kun på de ferretiske, altså dem, der sidder på bierne.
So the idea came to interrupt the brood by caging the queen.
Så man fik den idé, at man skulle indspærre dronningen, sådan at man får afbrudt ynglen.
And in this way also all the infesting mites are brought to the ferretic stage. And in that way they can be exposed to oxalic acid treatment.
Og på den måde så sikrer man sig, at alle mider de periode er foretisk, altså sidder ude på bierne, og så kan man behandle dem med saltsyre.
Here you can see various kinds of queen cages that are used for this strategy. This is the most common one, and I hear that you now have them in Denmark, called Gabbia Mozzato, the guy who invented it. You can find them on this website.
Ja, og det er forskellige typer af buer til at bure dronningerne inde med. Den mest almindelige er den her Gabbia Mozzato, som der er en hjemmeside, hvor man kan finde den, som vi også har begyndt at prøve på at få til Danmark.
Some beekeepers like to use this Chinese model. It's actually much smaller compared to this one, less than half the size, and it's like made with toothpicks.
Og så er der en kinesisk model, der er noget mindre end den anden, og faktisk er lavet af tandstikker.
And much cheaper.
Og meget billigere.
And then let's say the beekeeper creativity has led to many different kinds. So you can see here, this kind is on the side of the frame. This one sort of opens like a book in the middle.
Ja, så biavlere, de finder så selvfølgelig på en masse forskellige andre måder, og det er en i siden og en, der ligesom er inde i midten af rammen.
So there are various different models, and the strategy can be adapted.
Ja, så der er mange forskellige modeller for dronningbuer, og man kan så tilpasse strategien.
In our institute, we have done some experiments using this cage, so I will show results referring to this cage.
Så det er denne type af buer, de har brugt i Italien, og det som er resultaterne, det vil stamme fra.
So when and how does this caging take place? So usually the period when the beekeepers do it is anywhere between the beginning of July and August.
Så tidspunktet, hvor biavlere de bruger de her dronningeindspærringer, det er som regel i juli og august.
And how long is the queen caged for? Somewhere between 21 and 28 days. I will say later that actually the recommended length is 25 days. And the reason is that all the brood should emerge so that the reproductive mites will become phoretic.
Ja, så dronningen er indespærret i 21 til 28 dage, og de anbefaler faktisk 25 dage, for at man er sikker på, at al ynglen er krøbet indad.
So now I'm going to show a protocol that is being adopted within the Coloss network, which has been set up by my colleague Antonio Lanetti.
Ja, nu kommer der et protokol, som er en del af det Coloss-samarbejde, der foregår, som vi faktisk også er en del af. Og det er en af Cecilias kollegaer, Antonio Lanetti, som har udformet den her.
So here he explains the procedure. First thing is to locate the queen, and the cage is fixed on the comb. So the first time you have to cut out a piece of comb.
Ja, så kan man se, proceduren er, at man først selvfølgelig skal finde dronningen, og så skal man skære et stykke af tavlen ud, så man kan få dronningburet ind i den.
So then the queen is located and put inside the cage. There's a little opening here, you can see it better here, and then it's closed.
Ja, så er der sådan en lille åbning, hvor man kan putte dronningen ind i og lukke igen.
Then on day 25, you lift the comb out and open the cage, and you can just leave it open and the queen will walk out by herself, and the cage is left in the comb.
Så på dag 25, så tager man rammen ud og åbner buret, og dronningen kan så få lov til at gå ud. Hun går bare selv ud, og man efterlader sådan set bare buret i rammen.
At this point there is no brood left in the colony, and so a treatment with oxalic acid can be performed and will be effective.
Så på det her tidspunkt så er der ikke noget yngel tilbage i familien, og derfor så kan man behandle effektivt med oxalsyre.
So the method for treatment with oxalic acid is, so this is the recommended method, which is in the protocol and which is what we normally use, is according to the Winter method.
Så måden man behandler med oxalsyre, og som den måde som de anbefaler, det er på samme måde som ved en vinterbehandling.
So this is the concentration which is used and the amount of sugar, and the dose is 5 milliliters per comb with bees, and so this is adjusted then depending on the size of the colony.
Ja, her kan man se koncentrationen 4,2% oxalsyre og 60% sukrose, og man bruger så en dose på 5 ml per tavlegade, afhængig af ramstørrelse.
So this is what we used to do in Italy and what I think you do in Denmark. Just buy the bihydrate oxalic acid and buy the sugar and make the solution with these proportions.
Ja, tidligere gjorde de ligesom i Italien, ligesom vi gør her, at man bare køber oxalsyre og sukker og blander det sammen.
And in Italy, this method was used for many, many years, and at one point the veterinary authorities realized that it wasn't an officially registered product, and one beekeeper got a very big fine for not using a registered product.
Ja, det brugte man i mange år, men pludselig så fandt de veterinære myndigheder ud af, at man brugte et ikke registreret produkt, og der var en biavler, som fik en ret stor bøde for det.
So then the Chemicals Life went through the whole process of registering a product based on oxalic acid, which is called Apibioxal. So this is what legally beekeepers are allowed to use in Italy.
Så er et firma, der så faktisk gik igennem hele registreringsproceduren og fik registreret et produkt med oxalsyre, som man må bruge.
So the amount of labor involved. The caging, so this was an estimate that my colleague Tony Lanetti did, was about 10-15 minutes per colony. Of course, this is very variable. I'm sure you all know, it depends. Sometimes you just cannot find the queen, and so it will take longer. Other times you're lucky and you find her straight away. So it's a good idea to have marked queens that makes the work easier.
Ja, et forsøg på at estimere og skønne, hvor lang tid det tager, så er det måske 10-15 minutter per familie. Men det afhænger selvfølgelig af, at hvor let man kan finde dronningen, og derfor så siger jeg også, at det er en god idé, at den er mærket op, så det er let at finde. Men det er det, der er problemet.
So the trickling is much quicker than finding the queen.
Oxalsyrebehandling er meget hurtigere at finde dronningen.
And I have to say that various companies and also scientists are thinking of ways to rapidly locate the queen in the colony to support this strategy.
Og der er arbejde i gang på at finde måder, hvor man hurtigere kunne finde dronningen på til det her.
So, what is the efficacy and what are the side effects? Tests in both the north and the south of Italy have shown that efficacy is at least 95% and usually higher.
Så kommer vi ind på, hvor effekt man så kan forvente med det, og om der er nogen sidegevinster af det. Og de har lavet et test både i Nord- og Syditalien, og hvor man har fundet, at effekten er 95% eller højere.
Acute mortality is similar to controls. There is no acute mortality.
Der bliver ikke set nogen kontroldød, eller ikke nogen dødelighed af dronningen, faktisk.
And after the caging has been effected, like 1 month later, the colony conditions are good. As you will see later, there is no differences in amount of brood or adult bees, and the colonies usually look very healthy.
Så en måned efter, at man har været igennem den her procedure, så familierne fine og sunde ud. Der var ikke nogen ting, at man kunne henføre til behandling.
Also, the overwintering is similar to the control group.
Overvintring var også det samme som kontrolgruppen.
What still needs to be measured on a scientific level, let's say, is the honey production, but according to beekeepers, there is no difference, and actually they can collect even more honey.
De mangler stadig at lave sådan rent videnskabelige målinger af, om honninghøsten er påvirket, men biavlerne siger, at det ikke har nogen betydning.
Because with the thymal-based products, if they start doing that in July, they have to remove the supers. Otherwise, the honey tastes of thymol. With the caging, you can leave the supers on.
I forhold til behandling med thymol, så er fordelen, at man her kan lade honningmagasinerne sidde på, mens man behandler.
And in some areas, they rely, or they have quite a lot of yield from the honeydew in August, and so then they can collect this honey.
Og der er nogle områder, hvor de har ret store høst, hvor bierne samler ret meget honningdug i august, og det kan de så godt stadig udnytte med den her metode.
Now I will show some results of an experiment that we did together with some beekeeper associations.
Nu vil Cecilia vise nogle resultater af nogle undersøgelser, de lavede sammen med biavlerorganisationer.
They were located in 4 different areas. Piedmont, this association has Premiere belonging to 2 national associations, and APAT and ARPAT, and this one in Lazio.
Ja, så det er 4 biavlerorganisationer, der findes i 4 forskellige områder i Nord- og Centralitalien.
So in each area there were two apiaries with 20 hives each. So there was a total in each area of 40, and they were like about one kilometer, maximum 5 kilometers distant from each other.
Så i hvert område var der 2 bigårde med hver 20 stader, så i alt 40 stader i et område, og de var så med cirka 1 kilometer mellem, eller maks 5 kilometer mellem bigårde.
And 4 different summer treatments were applied in each apiary of each area.
Så der blev afprøvet 4 forskellige former for sommerbehandling i hver bigård i hvert område.
And I will show the details afterwards. And in winter, all hives were treated with oxalic acid.
Så detaljerne kommer bagefter, men om vinteren, der blev alle familier behandlet med oxalsyre.
So the one we called controlled treatment was the traditional Apilife var based on thymol. And so the way it was administered was 4 tablets, 1 every 7 days, each tablet divided into 4 parts.
Så det de kalder kontrolbehandling, det er så med den traditionelle behandling med det her Apilife var, thymolprodukt, som blev lavet i juli, begyndelsen af august, og der var i hvert stade blev der lagt 4 tabletter, en hver 7. dag, og så hver tablet blev delt i 4 dele.
Another one was formic acid treatment. I have to tell you that in Italy it's not very common. You know, formic acid is very sensitive to temperatures, and often in Italy the temperature is too high for the formic acid treatment and causes high mortality of the brood.
En anden gruppe var med myresyrebehandling, og der i forhold til hos os, så er myresyre ikke brugt ret meget i Italien, fordi at det er ret følsomt for temperatur, og temperaturen i Italien kan tit være for høj, så at man får for store skader på bierne.
But beekeepers recently were interested because they wanted a good strategy to control varroa.
Men biavlerne er faktisk interesseret i, at det måske kunne bruges, fordi at de jo netop mangler en god måde at bekæmpe varroa.
And they decided to use this concentration. Was based on this paper by Amrein, and in some cases, though, they used the max, the Might Away quick strips.
Så de prøvede at bruge sådan en myresyre på et trækpapir, der bliver lagt ovenpå, eller andre steder brugte man de her Microwave Quickstrip, som er sådan en færdigformuleret myresyre produkt, der bare bliver lagt på.
And I have to say that research on how to use formic acid in Italy is ongoing.
Ja, så man arbejder stadig med, hvordan man skal kunne bruge myresyre i Italien.
Then another treatment was brood removal, and then oxalic acid treatment. So here all the capped brood was removed, and then the bees were treated with, so here the percent was lower and the bees were actually sprayed.
Så en tredje gruppe var med yngelfratagelse og oxalsyre, hvor al den forseglede yngel blev fjernet, og så blev de faktisk sprayet med en oxalsyreopløsning.
And then the last one, the brood interruption via queen caging, and then the treatment with oxalic acid, as I explained before.
Og den sidste gruppe er så yngelafbrydelse med oxalsyre, som Cecilie talte om tidligere.
Then, so when we look at the results of this experiment, so we went to look at the colony strength after the treatment, and here what we measured was the number of brood cells.
Så når man så ser på effekt af behandlingen, så det her mål her, det er antal af yngelceller.
And this was like end of September, mid-September.
Så i slutningen af midten eller slutningen af september.
So there weren't any statistical differences in the number of brood cells. So like you can show that the queen caging did not negatively affect the size of the colony, and actually in some cases, like here in Piedmont in general, they were the group with the highest amount of brood, though not always.
Så der var ikke nogen signifikant statistisk forskel på antallet af yngelceller, så man kan i hvert fald sige, at det her dronninginspærring havde ikke betydning for det. Der var faktisk et område, hvor det var dem, der havde flest yngelceller.
And if we look at the varroa infestation, here we pooled all the data, and what we could see was, so before the treatment, overall there was the same varroa infestation level, and after the treatment, so which was done at the end of July, like in September in some cases, so this is the control, the Apilife VAD, the infestation was much higher.
Når man så på varroa-antallet efter at behandlingen var gennemført i september, så netop fik jeg kontrolgrupper med Apilife VAD, der var meget højere varroa-antal.
And the queen caging and the brood removal were the only two treatments that had lower infestation. And the queen caging, the only one that had lower compared to before the treatment. So very effective in controlling varroa.
Så den gruppe med yngelafbrydelse, det var den eneste, hvor varroa-antallet faldt i forhold til julimålingen. Og på den måde var det så en meget effektiv behandling.
And then if we look at the colony losses overall, if we look, this was looking at the survival in November, December. Already you can see the Apilife VAD and the formic acid already had high losses, whereas the queen caging and the brood removal had very low losses at that stage.
Når vi så begyndte at se på overlevelse af bifamilierne, så kunne man allerede i november-december se, at de her, der var behandlet med Apilife VAD og myresyre, at der havde man allerede noget forhøjet dødelighed.
However, all these colonies were together in the same apiary, and surely there was some re-infestation effect. And if we look at the data from the following spring, the losses were really, really high in these apiaries, and you can see the Apilife VAD control 60% and the formic acid 50%, and the queen caging and the brood removal had high losses but lower than the other groups.
Ja, alle de 4 grupper var jo placeret i den samme bigård, så man kunne godt forvente en eller anden form for reinfestation. Og det kan man måske se af, at når man så ser på det endelige tab, så var de meget høje for Apileifer og myresyre, men de var også relativt høje for de andre, dog mindre.
And when we went to look at the colonies that survived the following spring and how they were developing, so we counted the number of bees, and then we compared with the amount of brood the previous autumn and calculated this overwintering index, and we found that the brood removal group and the queen caging had the highest overwintering index. So there were the colonies that were doing better the following spring.
Ja, så laver de sådan et overvintringsindeks, som var baseret på antallet af bier, tror jeg, foråret i forhold til yngelsceller i sidst på sæsonen. Og der kunne man så se, at de her grupper med yngelafbrydelse og yngelfjernelse, de var kommet bedst igennem vinteren.
Then my colleague Antonio Nanetti and some co-workers, they did some specific experiments only on queen caging and oxalic acid to determine the efficacy.
Og så er en kollega her, som lavede nogle forsøg med dronningindspærring igen, og oxalsyre om sommeren med højt overskud.
And they did this in the north and in the south of Italy, and an area you know very well by now, which is Calabria.
Og det blev lavet i to områder, blandt andet altså nordpå ved Bologna, og så sydpå i Calabrien, hvor den bliver lige omtalt med stadebilen.
Whereas we are here, Bologna.
Ja.
So they started in 2008, because we have been talking about this since 2008. So the first thing was to look at the effect on the colonies. So after the caging, they found that there was no significant difference in the amount of bees or in the amount of brood. So more proof that it doesn't affect the development of the colony, the fact that you cage the queen for 25 days.
Så her lavede de samme, også målte på, om der var, om det at man lavede de her dronningindspærringer, om det påvirkede antallet af bier efterfølgende, og det kunne man ikke se.
And here they looked at the efficacy. So here they had one group of colonies that they did the queen caging and then the treatment with oxalic acid. In this group, they called it controlled. There was a sort of a very light treatment, let's say, a modified, very light treatment, just so that the colonies wouldn't collapse, to keep them in the test.
Og her ser jeg, what did they measure?
So here they measured the efficacy, so there is the number of mites, and then at the end they did an extra treatment with special secret products, and they saw how many mites were left. So the treatment and oxalic acid was 97.2, the efficacy, and the control, which was just a minor treatment, was 46%.
Okay, så det, der viser her, det er effektiviteten af behandlingerne i forhold til, hvor stor andel af varroamidlerne, der bliver bekæmpet. Og den blå kurve viser så med med dronningindspærring, og den røde er det, de kalder en positiv kontrol, hvor de bare laver en let bekæmpelse, bare for at de ikke bryder sammen.
Then, seeing that there is, I showed you at the beginning 21 to 28 days. So at the beginning, some people were doing 21 days because they were calculating the worker brood. Some people 25 because calculating the drone brood. Other people say, okay, let's leave a few days more to be sure. So here they compared 18 days, somebody maybe was doing 18, 21, 25 and 28 days. The number of days the queen stays in the cage.
Ja, så var jeg interesseret i at prøve på at komme lidt tættere på det med, hvor mange dage skal man holde dronningen indespærret, og det har man så prøvet her med 18, 21, 25 og 28 dage til indespærring.
And they found that with 18 days, the efficacy was 93%. With 21 days was 98, and with 25 and also with 28 was 99, so no need to go to 28, and in fact 25 days is the recommended duration.
Ja, så man kan se, så er der 93% effektivitet med 18 dage, og det stiger til 99% effektivitet i 25 dage, og man får ikke yderligere forbedringer af det til 28 dage, så derfor har de lagt sig fast på en anbefaling af 25 dage.
And then again, they looked at the colony reaction to treatment and they found no significant differences. This was the number of bees in the colony before the treatment and after the treatment and at overwintering. And statistics say it's not significantly different.
Og der var heller ikke forskel på, hvordan bifamilierne udviklede sig med det. At antallet af bier var ikke signifikant forskelligt på de her grupper, hverken før, efter eller ved overvintring.
And again, they saw the same thing with the brood.
Og det samme med yngelproduktion.
Then this is another interesting thing that they did in Calabria. They went to various beekeepers and measured the efficacy of the methods the beekeepers were using.
Og det er så en undersøgelse, de lavede i Calabrien, hvor de tog ud til biavlerne og så målte effektiviteten af de metoder, som de nu engang brugte.
So actually, they selected 4 apiaries, and there was the traditional method that the beekeeper was using, which is not described because probably most of them were illegal products.
Ja, så er der de her 4 bigårde, hvor man var ude i, og hvor man undersøgte, at man har ikke nærmere beskrevet, hvilke metoder de brugte, for de højst sandsynligt var ulovlige.
And you can see quite a lot of variability. One product was highly effective, others not so much.
Og der er ret stor forskel på, hvor effektivt de her ting har været. Ikke? Der har været et sted, hvor det var ret effektivt, og de andre var mere tvivlsomme.
And in the same places and at the same time, they also did the queen caging and the treatment with oxalic acid, and these were the results. So much more uniform in the result.
Og de 4 samme steder prøvede man så at lave de her dronningindespærring og salgsudrykning, og der fik man så de her resultater, som jo klart er mere stabile og høje.
So to conclude, of all the known summer strategies to control varroa, the queen caging is the most effective.
Ja, for at konkludere, så er det, at det her dronningindespærring, det er simpelthen den mest effektive metode, som vi kender.
And this has been seen across many different environments.
Og det har man fundet mange forskellige steder under forskellige forhold.
It doesn't affect the bees or the development of the colony.
Det påvirker ikke bierne eller bifamiliens udvikling.
And it's also possible to collect honey while doing this treatment.
Og en fordel er, at man kan samle honning efter, og mens man gør det.
So I would like to thank the translators, Ole for translating now and Per for translating the slides and also for translating last night.